Good morning. My name is Susie Kennis. I am a Master's of Occupational Therapy student at the University of San Augustine, and today we're going to conduct a test for visual impairments. The name of the test is Map of Scraps. It's a quick visual function screen which was developed by Dr. Lekas, our teacher or our professor. This test, the Map of Scraps, is an abbreviation which includes testing in different functions of the patient. The M is for mobility, A is for acuity, P is for pupils, O is for one vision, diplopia concerns, F is for field of vision, S for saccades, C for convergence, R for range of motion, A accommodation, P pursuits, and S is spatial relations. First, I would like to introduce my patient. My patient, she's Miss D. She's been diagnosed with diabetes mellitus for about 15 years now. So she does have some visual problems and various types of visual loss. So I would like to move on and to the first section of the test, which is about mobility, vision during movement. So what I would like to ask Ms. D is just to walk from this point to the end of the kitchen, and when you walk, try to turn your head like this. So, and just try to identify the objects around you, and then I'm going to ask you some questions, okay?
Okay. I saw some Coca-Cola stuff, but I got blurry.
Oh, so when you turned your head, you didn't see clearly the items on this little equipment here? Okay, so just come on, walk back here. You don't have to turn your head. And let's have a seat at this table here. I'm just gonna gather my supplies. You can have a seat right there. So what you're reporting basically to me, that when you turn your head, you don't see exactly sharp, the items sometimes sharp, so your vision is blurry a little bit.
Yes.
Right? So basically it means that you might have trouble, sometimes when you're walking with your balance. So it might pose like a fall risk, or you can bump into things. Do you bump into things sometimes because you can't identify
Yes.
objects around you? Okay. So that might be, one of the functional impairments, that you might bump into things, you might fall, you might, get injured. It's all a safety risk. So how we would treat it with occupational therapy, or in a treatment in occupational therapy, would be just practicing walking with quick head turns. In our clinic, usually we do it in a parallel bar, or we can do it in a hallway where you can grab on to a bar. So, but also, we can also do various like sorting and identification tasks. So when you're standing, I'll ask you to quickly turn your head and try to find for example, where is the cookie jar? Quickly,
Okay.
if you can pick it out from your environment. So that would be one of the treatments that we would do. So let's move on to the next task, which would be acuity. So I have an AAA magazine here. What I would like you to do is try to read, any of the little circles here. Whatever is printed in there, just try to read it for me, if you can.
To keep your battery from losing its charge when it won't be used for a week or more, consider using a battery charger.
Do you feel like it's easy to read that size of a letter?
No.
It's hard,
Yeah.
right? So what if you try a larger size of letter?
These up here are great.
Or up there, yeah.
Flocking to Florida.
Oh, so that's easy to read.
Yeah.
So you do have trouble when you need your near vision to read stuff, right? So it might be a problem if you think about it, managing your finances and writing a check or signing a check. Because if somebody just writes the amount out, or you think that you're writing the right amount, but you cannot really read it because it's blurry, or you're trying to sign it, you might have a problem with, identifying, not only with reading in that case, but identifying, different shapes, numbers, not only letters, right? Okay, so for the next one, I'm gonna bring that right forward.
Okay.
It actually would be about 20 feet away, so 12, 13, 14, 15, 19, well, it's about 20. So I put a half an inch size of the letters on this board. So try to read it from the top to the bottom for me, if you can.
B H C F S T N.
Okay. All right. Let me just bring it back here. So I saw that you were kind of trying to find out which kind of letters they were, but you couldn't really identify, or what was the problem?
I had to squint to see everything because I can't read it that far away.
Oh, okay. So it was kind of all blurry,
Mm.
or you just couldn't. You got some of the letters right though, but you do have a problem when you have to see far in the distance, basically. So even with glasses on. So what problems you might have, actually, let's say when you're driving and you're trying to see what kind of vehicle is approaching, or if there's any pedestrians that are approaching, and if you cannot really see exactly, cannot identify the object or the person, or actually the distance that they have from you, you might have some safety risks there, a risk of injury, accidents. So you we really have to focus on with various techniques again, how to improve this scale. And what we can do is, especially like for the reading, you can use magnifier, like a magnifier thing, which is pretty simple. But also you can buy large printed material when you're trying to read, or large printed checkbooks, for example, or high contrast containers, for example, when you're trying to find your medications. Instead of trying to read it and you can't, you can actually, what you can do is put one kind of medication that exactly that's for your diabetes in a large bottle. You can put another one that you need for pain in a blue bottle, so you know exactly by color coding which is which is which can be an easy solution for that one. Okay, so let's move on for the next one, which is the light reflex test.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to turn off the light. It's here.
No, for the
Or you can just okay. Can I turn this one off?
Yeah, it's on this other wall.
So,
Should be. Okay, the next one.
okay. So it can be dimmed. I don't think that it has to be like entirely dark. Okay. So what I'm gonna ask you to do is, there are some blinking lights there. It's, I think, the router. If you can focus on those lights, and first I'm gonna light this little light into your right eye,
Okay.
and then into the left eye. Okay? So just try to focus on that light right there. Okay? Okay, so that one was the right one. Let's go and try to do it on the left side. Good. Alright. So let me turn the light back on. Or I don't know if you can turn the light back on. Thank you. So, what I noticed here, so when we dim the lights into your eye and you're, fixating your vision, and I did the right eye and then the left eye, so your pupils is, as like in natural light, they usually constrict. So even when you walk outside in the daylight, that's what they do. So what I noticed is that yours didn't fully do that. So the problem with that is that you reported that sometimes you have the blurry vision. This can be the cause for that too. And the way, you can have problems again with the balance when you're walking, kind of orienting yourself. or bumping into things because you don't realize that things are exactly there because your vision is blurry, so you can't identify objects around yourself. So, and the contracts also. So what we can do is, or how we can help, as far as therapy, is once again we can do highly contrasting colored items, like when you're cooking, in the kitchen.
Right.
Let's say you can have the spoon handles all bright red, the fork handles all yellow handled. So actually you know the difference already between them, and that's how you select the items, even if you have blurry vision.
Okay.
Or when you're trying to use the stove top or the oven differently, the top buttons would be, pink or bright pink, but the oven would be blue, and even the temperature would be, color coded and enlarged. So even if you have blurry vision, you could, easily identify, especially when you walk into the kitchen and turn on the light and you don't have your, sharp vision anymore because it gets kind of blurry. So, and also safety training and patient education, that's very important, because, when your vision gets suddenly blurry, sometimes you can lose your balance, it can affect your vestibular system, and it can be a safety problem when you're cooking something or it's hot temperatures because you don't want to burn yourself. Okay, so the next one, the fourth one, is just, I'm just going to ask you, and I asked that question before, if you have sometimes double vision or blurry vision, even when you change from going from outside to inside or from inside to outside, or you walk around, turn your head quickly, or you are in a busy environment, and you kind of already told me that you do have that. When do you have any kind of instances when it gets really bad? Like in a busy environment, or if it's darker?
Like when I'm a little darker and I'm trying to read.
Okay, and when you're trying to read. So that all can have, effects. For example, once again, on driving, when you're trying to drive and identify things around you, or when you're reading, let's say when you're studying for something, or you're trying to check your children's homework, and you're trying to check for correctness, or you want to correct them in any way, but you cannot really read it because it's handwriting and it's a certain size. So then the magnifier, you can use the magnifier again. But also, specifically in this case with double vision and blurriness, we would refer you to an ophthalmologist or an optometrist, just to make sure that there is no underlying other things going on.
Okay.
So like nerve damage or something like that, which is sometimes common with diabetes. And we can also do, if it's double vision, what as in occupational therapy we would do is just occlude one of your eyes or cover one of your eyes, and try to work on improving the vision and visual perception one each side at a time.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one is going to be field of vision, and the test for this is a confrontation test. So it's good that I told you cover one eye, because that's what we're going to do. So what I'm going to ask you now is, you can start whichever eye you want to. Mm-hmm. So if you want to, cover this eye or that eye. And what I'm going to do is, I would like you to look at my nose, and what I'm going to do is, I'm going to come in, so I'm going to raise up my arm, but I'm going to come in from my finger from up to basically my nose,
Mm-hmm.
and then from the different sides. And what I would like you to know, what I would like you to tell me when you actually first see my finger, okay? Coming in into your field of vision, okay?
Now.
Okay?
Now.
Okay?
Yeah. Now.
Okay, good. So now try to cover your other eye, and let's test this side.
Now. 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 Now.
Good. Okay. So what this test is actually trying to identify is if you have, any kind of issues with your peripheral vision. So when you told me that you could, identify and see my finger, it was really, really close to the midline. So actually where my nose is. usually, most of the people, or most of us have kind of like a sense where we can, even though we're not looking at the finger, we're still focusing centrally and forward. We kind of can see the finger coming in just a little bit sooner than you did. So this again can affect, various everyday kind of activities, but really with your protective mechanism. Let's say if somebody's throwing a ball at you or something is falling at you, but if you notice only the item when it's already here, when you're already, very close to your head, very close to your body, it can be a problem because you can get injured, you can get startled really fast and then you fall. So it might be a fall risk too. So, and you can, once again, you can bump into things. So how therapy can help you with that, or a therapy treatment can help you with that. What we would do is place various objects. It's almost like out of your peripheral vision, or what you can actually identify. But we would start closer where you can actually identify it, and then we would move on, further out. But it kind of would force you, especially on the blinder side. So if one side is worse than the other, which I think in your case it was probably the right side, because it actually, my finger was almost right here and you can actually see it. So we would practice the right side, identifying objects. Let's say if I place the ball right here, and I would still ask you or try to make you turn, your head or your body. If you cannot, turn your eye, but it would be, ideal if you can just turn your eye. That's how you identify it. Oh, yeah, it's right there. And then also with the white head turns, we can do it. So instead of just moving your eye, you would do the head turn, but without, falling or getting dizzy or anything like that. Okay, so the next one, the sixth one, is the saccade. It's quick eye movements, basically. So I'm gonna have two different objects. So they're just two different colors, but same pen. So one of them, I brought a tape measure. So one of them should be about 6 to 8 inches away from your eye. So let's measure. I want to be accurate. So one of them, I'm just gonna have it, I don't know, like 7. So right here. Or if you can hold it for me, thank you. And then the other one, let me see. I think it's 16 inches. So the other one would be here. So what I would like you to ask, what I would like to ask you, I can't hold this one. Try to, and you can watch my eye actually what I'm doing, try to quickly move your eye or focus your vision from one object to the other, So you're moving only your eye. For a little bit. Do you have a hard, or do you have a difficult time to actually see the item sharply as you quickly change your from close to far?
Yes.
So does it take a long time to kind of come into your vision or to see an image sharply?
Yeah, it takes me a little bit.
Yeah, because I can see that you're kind of moving your eye fast, but I'm not sure if you can see clearly as you're moving your eyes fast. So you have a hard time. It's almost like kind of blurry, both of them. Okay. All right. So this is basically the fast eye movements. If you imagine that you're driving in a car and you're trying to look out and you're moving, but the people are moving too around you, or other cars are moving around you, and you're just trying to, pass a car or change lanes, but you have a hard time to actually focus on that, moving, either if it's a vehicle, either if it's a person. So once again, it can be a safety risk when you're moving. But also when you're just moving around and turning your head, like let's say you are at a party, somebody's calling your name, you're trying to quickly turn your head and identify who that person is, but you cannot really focus on that person fast enough, and then somebody else calls your name who is really close to you and trying to look at it, but you can't identify that face either because you're kind of quickly, changing. So it can actually affect your social life, your participation in sports. If you think about if somebody's throwing a ball, you have an item here, and you don't have the accuracy to play that game properly, so you can have problems with that, with participation in the game, social activities, but also it can be a fall risk and safety risk. So how therapy can help you, one of the treatments that we actually do is, so just like on the board where you see that you have one column of letters, I would have two column of letters or numbers or different, geographic shapes, and I would ask you to fast, just quickly from this column to that column and just read out the different, letters. So it would be one of the treatments that, we can do also, just to practice the quick change and kind of identifying and focusing. Okay, the seventh one would be the near point convergence. So it's basically how your eyeballs are moving around and if they can actually do it. So what I'm gonna do is, well, it has to be a small object, so it can be a candy or that ball. What I'm gonna have you do is, so you're gonna start out with your arm, and you're gonna do it on yourself, but I'm just gonna demo it so you can see it. So you're gonna come from here, and you're just getting closer and closer and closer to your face, and eventually you're gonna see two of this little candy. Actually, it's better if we do it with this one because it's like a longer object. But as soon as you see double of this lip balm, just tell me where you see the double.
Okay.
Okay. So as you're getting closer to your face, okay? So you start out arm length and just tell me. And actually you can stop right there when you see the double, and then I'm gonna measure it. It's about right there. Okay. So let me measure it. How far it is about from your nose and from your eye. So it's about 2 inches.
Okay.
So usually, and I can actually show you how it is for me. So when I'm getting closer, I already can see double here. So normally, when you have normal vision and you don't have any kind of impairment, it's usually 2 inches or more, the distance where you see, the double. So yours, it was almost 2 inches, so it's slightly, impaired, but it was under a little bit 2 inches. So what I would say is that we definitely have to work on a little bit, of the eye movements, because it's basically how the eyeballs are moving up and down, side to side, and how they come, together. So, but you can have problems with, actually with this one, can be focusing on an object, so like attention on an object, because when you're reading and you're focusing, yes, you can read clearly, but after a while, as you said, it gets blurry too, or you're trying to, just move the book closer because you cannot see the letters, but then you see double instead of blurry. Also, it can affect your depth perception. So you're trying to play games with your kids, like, I don't know, baseball or throwing a ball, and as you can have problems with that one too, because you don't have the normal depth perception like a person has. Driving, again, can be affected. Or when you're just trying to reach for like a plate in the closet, but you don't have the exact depth perception, so you either overshoot or undershoot, but never get it exactly right. And if it's a boiling pot of boiling water, you can, hurt yourself or injure yourself. And so how we can help as far as therapy, we can just do active range of motion of the eyeballs. So what you would do is basically just, practice on following, and then getting closer, following, and also do it one eye occluded or one eye, just covered, the other eye covered. So we practice on both sides, but mainly on the side that's more affected. Okay, so next one, we're almost done. So the next one, near and far shift. Let me see. So we did, I don't want to skip any. So we did that one. Oh, we're gonna do this one, which is, oh, okay, this was the convergence. So now we're gonna move on the range of motion. I mixed up the two. Okay, so for this one, what I'm gonna do is, so you're just gonna sit right there, and I'm just gonna move my arm just through like an arc. So I would start here, go out, come back here, go out. but what you want to do is follow my hand or follow my finger, okay? So let's start, I don't know, maybe this way. So I'm just gonna come out and back, out and back, out and down, out, down, and we're gonna move like the 180, okay? Or actually we can do 350 or 360. Good. Good. Okay, so you have, you know, your eyeball motion is pretty good though. It's probably just a little bit slower motion that usually normally good, and I don't know if you had a hard time following my finger as far as the speed, how it was moving, or it was okay?
It's a little bit.
It was a little bit fast, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you might have, once again, you might have problems with this actually in every phase of the life. So when you drive, you know, you have to quickly shift your, you know, vision. You have to, sometimes if somebody calls your name and you have to quickly turn there, only your eyes. So you can have, you know, various issues with the range of motion. And once again, with the depth perception, with focusing on things, with attention, sometimes you can have headaches. You know, if you're trying to focus so hard on letters when you're reading or write, especially if it's not with natural light or sitting in front of the computer, and you just need to take breaks again. And we can have, you know, we can work on it once again, occlusion of one eye, try to practice the motion, especially on the one that are more affected on that side. Okay, near and far shift. So the next one, what we're gonna do is, so I'm gonna actually pick this one. So you're gonna focus on this object, which is, this is gonna be 2 feet away from you, so I'm gonna measure that. And then the other one is gonna be 12 inches. So let's measure, so the 12 inches, I'm gonna have maybe this one. Or, let me see, because the 2 feet, okay. Let's do 12, this is 12 inches. Let's just hold this one here. And then the other one would be about 2 feet, which is like, it's about double the amount. So the other one would be right here. And let's see. So what you would do is focus on the one that is 2 feet away, so mine. And then what you would do is, so just focus on that, focus on this one for a little while. And then switch to one that's closer to you and focus on that one for a little while. So maybe like 10 seconds. And then you would switch back and forth 5 times. You can see this, my line. You're blinking a little bit, so did you have to clear kind of your vision a little bit?
A little bit.
Because you were doing a little bit that to be able to see clearly, like this one or that one. So it happened, the way that I saw it happened when you switched.
Yeah.
So when you went from further to closer, or from closer to farther away, and you kind of have to a little bit clear your eye. Okay. So with this one, it was very similar to the one when you had to quickly switch, but this time you have to, you know, take your time, so you could bring the object into focus and, you know, look at it. But when you switch to looking to the other object, and it was in a, you know, from some, you know, longer distance from your vision, from your tip of the nose or the bridge of the nose, it was kind of, you know, more difficult, and kind of you had to like almost like clear your eye or blink in order to, you know, bring it into focus. So once again, you can have problems with reading with this one also. So sometimes when you just sit down, try to read something, and you're gonna try to like clear your vision, focus. So you can have problems with focusing, attention, again, and just, you know, reading, looking closely on books, looking closely on, you know, you're trying to read the labels on your spices when you cook, but you're switching back to stirring the pot, so you can have, you know, problems with that one. It can pose a safety issue once again. So we might refer you to the ophthalmologist again, or optometrist, but we can also do, like different tasks when you would place, items on the midline, away from the midline, away from you, different distances, and you would try to, just focus your vision on this one, then the next one, then the next one, and try to grab the item that we actually tell you. So it's like sorting tasks and different other tasks, but with common objects that you use in your house. So almost the last one is smooth visual tracking. So what I would do is, I would measure again. I would be 16 inches away from your eye, and what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna try to draw an H, and then I'm gonna try to draw an X. And what you want to do is you're just trying to follow as I'm drawing the letter, with both eyes, okay? And we'll see about this piece. So I'm going to be about here. You can see my eye, right? I mean, my hand. Okay, so I'm going to start out with the letter H, okay? And then I'm going to do the letter X. So did you actually see the letter as I was drawing it? Because you were kind of looking at me, and sometimes not on the letter.
Yeah.
Or you were trying to follow it. Was it too fast that I was doing it? Because you seem to trying to follow my finger, but you're looking at me too. So you might have a little problem of attention too. Focusing on the task actually that was given, just following. But also you can have just the speed was fast, so you could follow it a little bit slower. Or did you have a hard time to follow my finger?
A little bit.
Did you clearly see my finger as I was drawing the letter?
A little bit.
Could you, if I didn't tell you what kind of letter it was, could you tell me what kind of letter it was?
I didn't pay attention.
Yeah. So see, sometimes you can have this with visual tracking. Once again, you might have problems with reading, with focusing on one thing for an extended period of time, so keeping your attention or attention span, and that can lead to balance problems also. So as you walk, you want to focus your attention where you're walking. Sometimes you go from, like here, from carpet to tile, or from regular concrete to grass, and you have to be able to recognize that and not to get shocked and fall and just lose your balance. So you can have safety issues with that one once again, and just impact other functions in your life. So how we can help is with, once again, we can practice the mobility with the quick head movements again. Also, you can do progressive gaze exercises when I ask you also to focus, on one thing, and then we would move away from that, either in distance and in speed, and you want to try to, be able to track, and even with the increased speed, whatever, because sometimes it affects your writing too. Just when you write, for a certain speed, you have to follow what you're writing, and make sure that it's that's what you want to write. We can also, like different sorting, we can do sorting exercises, but also just moving, different items in front of the eye and try to follow it, so it doesn't affect really, your driving, or your other, just everyday tasks that you do in your life. Okay, last one, spatial relations. So this is gonna be a cross test. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna give you one piece of paper, and then I'm gonna write here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write, actually, this functions as a pen too. So what I'm gonna do is, just write, like on this piece of paper, I'm gonna write these plus signs. This is not supposed to be a cross, it's a plus. What I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to place it right here. I don't know which side is better for you. And what you want to do is try to copy these plus signs exactly the way that it's on this paper, okay? And just take your time. There is no rush. Okay, thank you. So if you look and compare this to this, or if I look and compare this to this, you did a pretty good job actually. Most of the X's what I put, because I'm looking at the location where you put them, they're kind of in a similar pattern. Some of them are, the distances are kind of different on my picture and then yours, and also the angles. If you just look at it, I don't know if you can notice or not. So it means this is basically like a copying task, but also it's, if you think about it and the way that you did it, you really had to concentrate where to put them. So it's also testing your attention, also your visual eye movements, because you are going from this to this, from this to this constantly. And did you find it a little bit tiring, these tasks?
Just lost focus.
Okay. Did you see my plus signs sharply? I mean, did you see it well where they were?
A little blur.
Little blurry? Okay. It might be the color too. I could have used probably black, but so what basically this tells us, or that this test is for, just to identify if you can really, like in your environment, for example, if you want to sit down and you want to pull the chair out, and you could see hopefully where the chair is, but sometimes you wouldn't judge the distance correctly, so you might have trouble pulling the chair out and sitting down eating with other people. Or you might have a problem when you're dressing. Let's say you want to button your shirt, but you see, even, or let's say if you're just dressing up in front of a mirror, you can see where the button is, you can't touch it, you can feel it, but you might have a problem judging where exactly to button it. So you would overshoot or undershoot, or not exactly feel the distance where you have to. So especially if it's about precise movements like that, or you have to put your earrings in, and you cannot really, like, you see that the hole is there, but you cannot really, get exactly into the hole, or putting on your watch, putting on your makeup in the morning. So you might have, problems with that kind of issue. So items, relating to your body as far as how far they are, or or exactly where they are in space. So it might, once again, it might be a problem, because especially when you said that you walk around, you bump into things. So it might pose a fall risk again. It might, just as I told you, with dressing you might have problems, or just with outing, socializing with friends. So how we can help, occupational therapy is actually perfect for it. There are many different treatments that we can do for it, because it's basically just improving your senses, your proprioception, and your senses in space where you are. So what we can do is, I'm gonna have to get my cheat sheet for this one. So what you would do is, I would ask you, let's say for a grooming task, which is like brushing your hair, I would just ask you if you have like a bright colored comb or brush or hairbrush, whichever you prefer to use. And I would actually guide you exactly. Let's say I see it's on your right side on the middle shelf in the vanity closet. So what I would ask you to do, I would just provide you with verbal cues and just tell you, okay, Ms. D, go to the bathroom in front of the vanity mirror, open the vanity closet right there on the middle shelf, on your right side, middle shelf, it's gonna be your brush. It's bright pink colored. Go ahead, find it, you open it, you just complete the test. So I would guide you along. But eventually, you're gonna learn it as a task. We're gonna keep that item there all the time. So it's easier, to have your items organized. So there is no clutter. You can easily find, the items that it's going to help you a lot, not only by, identifying by vision, but you already know it's in your brain that this is where it is. So you will guide, your own hands. So you can use verbal comments, but also different landmarks. So I would tell you, let's say when you sit down at this table, I can tell, let's say the salt holder would be blue, the other one would be red, so the pepper would be red, so I can just tell you, okay, grab the blue little container or shaker if you want to make your food salty, and you would know it, even if it's, or we can just color code things, or, just mark things, so it's easier for you to find things, okay? So this concludes the test. Thank you very much for helping me, and I hope you guys liked it, so have a good day. Thank you very much.